I want to welcome them here to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, climbing PoeTree.
How y'all doing? It's so good to be here. My name is Alixa.
Peace, everyone. My name is Naima. Our powers combined, we are climbing PoeTree. We're artists and activists based in Brooklyn, New York, who have been collaborating for over 11 years now, really sharpening our art as a tool at the service of our vision for a more just, more sustainable world. And we're so honored to help kick off this day with a lot of energy and passion, help you get in touch with your hearts. Y'all ready to go on a journey with us? Awesome. So this first piece has a very special dedication, and we want to send it out to all the human beings in the house right now. Human beings, where we at? All right. This piece is a little bit about the human condition. I don't know if some of y'all can relate to this diagnosis. I think it's been termed as stress. Anybody here ever felt stress? Or comparison, judgment, insecurity, feeling insignificant? Any of these things? Or did anybody have a hard time waking up this morning? Okay. So for the human beings who had a hard time waking up this morning, this is especially for you. Here we go. I wonder if the sun debates dawn some mornings, not wanting to rise out of bed from under that down feather horizon. If the sky grows tired of being everywhere at once, adapting to the mood swings of the weather. If clouds drift off, trying to hold themselves together, make deals with gravity to loiter a little longer. I wonder if rain is scared of falling, if she has trouble letting go, if snowflakes get sick of being perfect all the time, each one trying to be, you know, one of a kind. I wonder if stars wish upon themselves before they die, if they need to teach their young how to shine. I wonder if shadows long to just for once feel the sun, if they get lost in the shuffle not knowing where they're from. I wonder if sunrise and sunset respect each other even though they've never met, if storms have regrets, if volcanoes get stressed, if compost believes in life after death. I wonder if breath ever thinks of suicide, if the wind just wants to sit still sometimes and watch the world pass him by, if smoke was born knowing how to rise, if rainbows get shy backstage, not sure if their colors match right. I wonder if lightning needs an alarm clock to know when to crack, if rivers ever stop and think of turning back, if streams meet the wrong sea and their whole lives run off track. I wonder if the snow wants to be black, if the soil thinks she's too dark, if butterflies want to cover up their marks, if rocks are self-conscious of their weight, if mountains are insecure of their strength. I wonder if waves get discouraged, crawling up the sand, only to be pulled back again to where they began, if land feels stepped upon, if sand feels insignificant, if trees need to question their lovers to know where they stand, if branches waver at the crossroads, unsure of which way to grow, if leaves understand they're replaceable and they still dance when the wind blows. I wonder where the moon goes when she is in hiding. I want to find her there and watch the ocean spin from a distance. Listen to her stir in her sleep. Effort give way.
I'm from Colombia, Medellín. Are there any Latinos up in here? Oigan, mi gente latina, ¿cómo están? Buenos días. Yeah. That was for all the spiritual beings. May they be welcome into this space. And for all the ancestors, all those who walked before, this was a university, all those who got pushed out, kicked out, genocide, you know what I mean? That's for their spirits right there.
Give thanks. And we're about to share with you some excerpts from a much larger piece called Hurricane Season, The Hidden Messages in Water, which is a 2-hour multimedia production that Alix and I created in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, recognizing that there was nothing natural about that disaster, and that it really held up a mirror to the man-made catastrophes that are affecting our communities on a national and global level on a daily basis. And so we address economic and environmental injustice, and we talk about displacement, and we talk a lot about land rights. And so we're going to be sharing with you some excerpts from this piece throughout it, and we think it's about time that we talk about the weather. We in trouble, friends.
The storm clouds
are coming in, and I can hear the rumbling of atom bombs that make tsunamis. Like a butterfly flapping its wings on the other side of the world.
Is a tornado in Brooklyn, torrential rain
in Jamaica,
an earthquake in Haiti, a typhoon in Vietnam, a monsoon in Korea,
a landslide in India, fire in San Diego, massive flooding in China, a mudslide in Chiapas, a tidal wave in Indonesia, acid rain in Hiroshima. It's been snowing in the desert, y'all. Something is wrong here. Stay calm. This is an emergency. I tell you if I knew, but the future hasn't said a word to me. She's angry that her children won't be born debt-free. Destiny said man-made curses are her worst pet peeve. They are selling the rain.
They are leasing the rivers.
They are auctioning off the oceans to the highest bidders. As giant chunks of the polar ice cap dislodge from the North Pole,
and tourists flock to the site to take pictures.
There is disaster tourism.
Like this disaster profiteering
off the torrential storms
and the warring
and the wrath of global warming. Who will get paid to rebuild,
and who will they build for? Who will endure the drought
and the rain?
Who will be safe and sound
indoors? Who built the missiles,
the smart bombs,
the rockets?
Who gets raided?
And who gets paid
from whose pockets? Who gets sent off to war? Who dies for whose profits? Who gets remembered? Who's been forgotten? Nice. And feel free, to interact. I heard a couple of people being like, woo woo. But if you hear something that moves you, this is an energetic exchange. You know what I mean? We're not television. We see you. Y'all dressed up. We did too. You know what I mean? We from Brooklyn.
We like loud people. So more from hurricane season addressing displacement. Congressman Richard Baker said, "We finally cleaned up public housing in New Orleans. We couldn't do it, but God did."
Quote unquote.
Rid the city of the poor.
Rebuild the city for the rich with
contractors from everywhere but New Orleans coming in.
Folks in the projects were forced to evacuate,
even where Katrina didn't hit.
Then armed guards blocked the doorways, wouldn't let the residents back in. Demolition scheduled
while people live in tents
under I-10, and thousands
driven out the south
are still scattered across the states as New Orleans is looted by profiteers who want to make over its face.
Flood the lower ninth to save the wealthier estates
as Mississippi renovates
with slot machines and condos. So you gotta win the lotto if you plan to keep your place. It's the same from gulf to gulf.
The chip stackers
Turn disaster into profit, reaping billions off the damage that they started.
In New Orleans,
Port-au-Prince,
Iraq,
paychecks from tax dollars
for no big contracts,
so Halliburton can rebuild the pillage that they plotted.
And even
in the brightest cities, polluted with the white light of men who pretend that they God, where Giuliani gentrified Harlem, once the only place ex-slaves could make art.
So they rode the Apollo to stardom, till that spacecraft was hijacked and hip-hop, rock, and jazz became tools for the market. And now
that it's cool
to be black, whites want to move back to see what rose from the racism their grandfathers pardoned.
So now great-grandsons of slaves are displaced.
As Section 8
Makes way for condos and the homeless are jailed.
So the sidewalks look polished
with the sweat of those who labored their lives
to fill the boss master's wallet. Jim Crow's been abolished,
but the government's lawless. Across the nation since the 80s, housing departments demolished
78,000 project apartments
to fill mixed income buildings.
At least that's what they call it.
From Chicago to Harlem,
to the city that
pre-Katrina was 3/4 chocolate, block by block, streets are bleached so real estate sharks reap a profit. The flood
just washed the skeletons out of the closets.
Meanwhile, around the globe, the IMF adds another nail to all the coffins.
The World Bank acts like a saint
while making bank off grave robbing,
imposing interest on poor countries they know
could never pay them back.
Prefer dealing with dictators across the global map, so the debt
of generations falls on the workers' children's backs who are displaced when land is lost for dams
and hands are bound
to sweatshop retail racks
and roads
that lead to nowhere except back to those who own the pockets of international contracts.
The deck is stacked. Our plan has been hijacked
by self-appointed captains
who take the source of life for granted, like water, land, and women's hands,
who carry most of the agricultural work around the planet,
but own less than 1%
of the soil
we have planted.
If their man kicks them out, the women are left stranded in Uganda and India.
Women widowed by the virus that's swallowing Namibia are stripped
of their property,
land lost
with the right to farm,
to quench the poverty.
In Guatemala City, 5,000 children live on the streets.
And 400,000 people been restricted
to live in landfills to make way for train rails in the Philippines.
And Detroit,
Michigan's model city of industrialization,
quickly became the nation's
illustration
of eviction, demolition, abandonment, and devastation. And we are surrounded
by multiplying fences,
chain link,
white picket,
barbed wire,
electric,
a people
made separate by fear and income gaps,
prison walls, highways, razor wire,
and train tracks. There's a gate being built around a community
who colonized
a hilltop that was once a plantation,
once a ghetto, once a nation, before natives were fenced off in reservations.
There's a fortress being built around our imagination.
They've built up surveillance
around our memories landscape.
'Cause they're scared we'll escape if we remember our daydreams are ancient. Give me some loud.
I know you're gonna say something together.
No, they can't hear it. Start.
They got Minutemen.
Yo, they got Minutemen.
Ready to shoot down migrating thoughts that might lead towards liberation
or illegal hallucination of a world that exists beyond the borders that they arm.
Our history's
been lost to forgetfulness, erased
by the frontiers of manifest destiny,
as if
destiny were man-made
or manifested
in the hands of colonial planners
who build their thrones atop the remains of nations like gravestones.
Celebrate Columbus Day with clearance sales to buy up stuff
To cover up that
which cannot be bought
or sold, only stolen, like breath or life or home, or an entire people who once believed that land could never be owned.
Thank you.
All right. So this is for all of us in the movement, all of us like really working hard in the trenches to transform this reality that we've inherited and transform the story that we're walking into, you know. Mr. CEO, we're the backup hard drive to your humanity. We're storing memories you forgot. Traded them in for a murderous plot. The forest of your imagination you paved for a parking lot to single file your strategies, but life is a love knot. Your crimes against us will get you a mugshot, permanently hung in the security room of heaven, where angels surgically remove spiritual blood clots. This ain't about religion. You converted that like missionaries masking blind spots. White savior in our churches, but in the Bible he's got a woolly top. The creator's mad at you for twisting up the plot. For prophets selling prophets, Jesus, Buddha, and Allah. Rumi, Hafiz, Sojourner, thank God never got caught. They taught me how to kill the slave inside the aching heart. Turn truth to ammunition and pain into this art.
So I got a question for you all, and I want you to take it seriously. I want to know, if you were a cop, would you stop the hypocrisy, turn your guns on the real criminals, strip search the colonists for stolen property? If you were a teacher, would you teach your students the truth, make origami birds from the history books, fly back in time for the proof? If you were a newscaster, would you tear up the script on Channel 6 live at prime time, tell shit like it is? If you were a soldier, would you dismantle the bombs, hide all the bullets under your cot, stuff those rifles with songs? If you were a warden, would you smuggle poems in the bologna and cheese? Whisper the geometry of keys in the captives' ears when they sleep, so when they wake in the dawn, they know how to set themselves free. If you were a millionaire, would you douse your dollars in gasoline, set them on fire on Wall Street to quarantine this disease? If you were a doctor, would you sling rocks and sell trees, hand out of the corner, pockets full of vaccines? If you were a carpenter, would you build a castle for every queen who collects bottles and cardboard to build her nest on the street? If you were a mother, a father, would you teach your kids to be proud of every drop of their blood, breath, and bodies so they'd live life aloud? If you had a voice, would you speak up? If you had eyes, could you see us? If you had feet, would you stand up? If you had hands, would you lift up? If you had nothing, would you still never give up? If you were you, what would you do? What would you do if you were you?
All right. So we got one and a half more pieces for you. It's really awesome. We're going to be spending the day with you. We have a table over there. We got business cards. We're not just poets. You know, this is one thing that we do. We're organizers. We're educators. We create curriculum, and we really would love to connect, you know, in so many different levels. And we also have handmade silkscreen, one-of-a-kind t-shirts that supports the work that we do off stage, you know, the curriculum development, going into prisons, going into juvenile detention centers, going into high schools, places, reservations, places that we don't charge to be at, you know, so cooperative economics, my people.
And I don't know if Alexa said, but all those shirts are sweatshop free, fair trade. Only sweat in them is the sweat we put into them. We literally hand printed each one on Friday before we hit the road. So there's a lot of love up in there.
We can do the whole poem then.
Okay.
But let's not do it. Let's do conversation. Let's do conversation.
Okay, let's do this piece of one. Okay. Sorry, we just realized we had a few more minutes than we thought, so we're gonna do 2 more pieces. And this is in celebration of the fact that all of us are here in this room right now, which is such a testament to the journeys that we've all gone on in our lifetimes and also of our foremothers and forefathers who fought really hard for it to be possible for us to be present with each other now. So give thanks for that. Give thanks for your presence and the fact that we're all here. We survived the fires of Selma and Nagasaki, and we will survive Palestine. We survived Vietnam
and Wounded Knee,
Rwanda and Mississippi. The 50 stripes around our stars, 50 years to life behind their bars. We survived middle school, shoot. Whew. And self-inflicted scars, losing our mothers to our fathers' hands. We survived famine
and genocide,
came back from the dead and spread like wildfire. We survived slavery
and gas chambers,
biochemical warfare
and lynching.
The seeds from our strange fruit been sprinkled across this terrain by our angels. And everywhere we land, we're gonna take root. And every inch of rock, mud, and sand, we're gonna break through. You're here right now. I'm seeing you with my own 2 eyes. Think of all the demons that tried to take you, and you still survived. And we will survive. To destroy us, they'll have to annihilate our angels. We summon the strength of all those who came before us and all those coming. We must weave freedom in our fingers.
When the world gives us nothing but believing a new day's coming,
we rise and we let go. And turn our dreams into proof, 'cause our liberation lives beneath our imagination's roof.
But vision without execution is just a hallucination.
And I grew tired of pretending freedom was around the corner.
When I never gave her my address or invited her over,
only longed for her company without dismantling my borders. Our words are the water, reshaping rock. Our actions are sledgehammers to apartheid blocks. Our dreams are the keys to prison guards' locks. Our consciousness, a collection of awakening thoughts
that decided
one day to release all the fear we were taught and give in to love,
unfiltered
like sun to the dawn, unconditional mother to son, unexpected, the enemy who put down his gun against the command that hailed from above, a peace prayer, the shout of thousands of drums. The power of the people is the power of one. Okay, we'll just end with it. I don't know. Thank you all so much. Awesome. And again, we're so grateful to be here. We'll have a chance to share one more time at 5, a shorter set. And we're gonna share one more poem with you now. And before we do, I just wanted to make sure that everybody heard and understood this really exciting news in our world, and hopefully in many other lives, is that we've been, for the past 3 years, translating all the media and all the poetry and all the research from hurricane season into a multimedia social justice curriculum for high school and college students. And we've piloted it in 4 different places now on the high school and college level, in New York, Pennsylvania, and in Chicago. And we're getting ready to launch it on a nationwide level. So we really want to let our allies know, because it's about to be an educational tool available in educational environments everywhere. And we're also looking for people to help us see it off the ground. So anybody that's like an educator or knows about good resources for getting, dope educational platforms out, please do network with us afterwards and talk to us, because we'd love to really help this become, a powerful tool that can really impact a lot of young learners who will be the next social justice leaders in this nation. So thank you so much for that support. If we are the truth we seek, let us speak what we know to be.
'Cause history
Was written by the victors
and news
is broadcast by the captors.
our desires are manufactured
and our self-image is backlit
by the glow of the TV and newspaper captions. Our inner children
been kidnapped and are being held captive
in classrooms that teach us that life's a transaction.
Nah, freedom ain't free when the ruling class gets paid to be fascist
and say you
can purchase democracy.
And we got equal access
to living in this building
whose foundation is cracking. 'Cause
the steeple was built in the basement,
and the slave quarters
were fractions of the whole picture of an equation
whose math was done backwards, then passed down through teachings that couldn't preach what they practiced. So they used double speak
to keep us distracted
with addiction, strip malls, pop stars, and fashion, and new gadgets that make our eyes avoid contacts.
In a world
where
truth is hidden,
silence is complacency, our hush is complicit
in the explosions
and gunshots,
the free trade and screams, the slamming shut cell blocks,
and chainsaws against grandfather trees, demolition balls, levee breaks, the gasping to breathe. In a world
where fear is spoken,
terror follows.
So we spit verses to reverse the lies we refuse to swallow.
Form our words
in the shape of
our revelation for tomorrow. This tomorrow
has no name,
but we are calling her forth.
This tomorrow is not the same as yesterday,
but she is as ancient as the world.
This wish is leaving my lips like a wide-eyed traveler without passport,
but equipped with dream
and an army of people sick of this shit. Who found
an escape plan
and are willing to run with it
as if it were the drinking gourd spelling our names up in the sky, who are ready for light,
who are ready
to live, ready to hold each other against the rim of existence.
'Cause they who build concrete
against the corners of our hearts need to feel our resistance like a million tender blades of grass
cracking sidewalks
apart, reminding
your runaway child
there is no place that love cannot find you. There is no place
that love cannot find you.
There is no place that love cannot find you. So trace back
the path
that you came from. I and I,
you and
you and I,
we all came from the same one.
And if the captors,
slave masters,
newscasters,
and war
benefactors knew a love like ours,
they would go thirsty with their lives
and come to us for lost magic in their memory, and we will feed them when they come to us
on their knees,
way down from weaponry, begging
forgiveness
and water. We will share our medicine until they weep at the resemblance of our faces. They will remember our names, and their numbers will crumble to dust. Bankrupt, their blood money will be as worthless as their guns. And with time,
our never endings will rewrite new beginnings
that start with
imagine how free we can get
if fill in that space. Love is the opposite of fear. Be love.
Don't be afraid.
We were only tricked
into believing
that our believing
isn't
enough and that there isn't enough
to go around.
But our trust
gave me the courage
to challenge their truth as a bluff. Their fiction
is empty.
The hunger
is growing like stomachs swollen and rumbling.
Revolution is a whisper that hears you coming.
And now We stand at the doorway.
In the hallway,
Life brought us to this crossroads
of lost hope and
undeniable promise, where we choose between paths
beyond rightness or wrongness
that will lead to the brink of the planet's exhaustion, or the age of compassion, where the meek become strongest and re-inherit the earth and redefine progress.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, y'all.
Thank you, CommonBound. Thank you, New Economy Coalition. So grateful to share this morning with you, and we wish you such a productive, inspiring, effective time together. Thank you so much for the work that each and every one of you do. We love you.